Hey, it's Christopher Dixieland Farm, and I'm going to make a vinyl video. I'm a member of the vinyl community. I don't know if you knew that. That's not an actual organization. It's just random people who show records. And 12 years ago, when I joined the vinyl community, we all knew each other. And 12 years later, we don't know any of each other anymore. It's changed from me showing my records to a bunch of friends to people making content and having a community based around them, roughly hooked up by showing records. But it is different. I have a series called Commonplace Collections because one of the things in the vinyl community is people will die showing normal, common records that almost all of you already know about. You will show esoteric, weird stuff, or rare stuff, or obscure stuff. This is very common, and this is the Commonplace Collection. And the rule of the Commonplace Collection series in my head is stuff has to be available for $10 or under. And this band, which you already know because you've read the title, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, is now kind of despised-ish in the prog rock community. Another community of loosely affiliated people who like prog music. I guess because of the commercial success. And they were huge. I mean, they did really play big concert halls, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And everybody knows Emerson, Lake and Palmer who doesn't even know what prog is. And for those of you who don't know what prog is, these are my rules of prog music. So prog music consists of three things. One, music that has a classical base or inspiration to it. Two, non-standard rhythm time signatures. So instead of your normal 4x4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that kind of stuff. Or topics that talk about fairies and lutes or space or maybe some, I'm adding this just to get the Moody Blues and consider it as psych, things of the mind. That would be progressive music. So Emerson, Lake and Palmer satisfies all three, but mostly time signature and classical. Only a few albums kind of go into that kind of stuff. So why they hated, probably because of the Sex Pistols would say that they were rebelling against music like Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And so Emerson, Lake and Palmer consisted of three people. It was considered a supergroup. I don't know if you knew that. So these people were in other bands before. Greg Lake was in King Crimson, like the quintessential prog band. Keith Emerson was in the band called The Nice. And Carl Palmer was, I believe, in Atomic Rooster and then maybe something else. So these people all came together. Unusual that it's a trio, and a lot of this music, played live. Just the three of them, right? They didn't augment it with other people coming out. So this bombastic music out of three people, and really the showcases Keith Emerson. So Keith Emerson, organ and synthesizers. And so he is, to me, the top prog player probably of that instrument. Right there with Rick Wakeman, but I think Keith Emerson is probably the star. Keith Emerson, so Keith Emerson's whole identity was tied to his playing, and so they're here to bum you out. As he aged, he started getting some kind of issue with his hands, started not playing so well, and the online bullying and criticism of him, he ended up killing himself. Because, the thing that he was known for, he couldn't do as well anymore, so there was no reason for him to live. Sad, real sad. Yeah, so Emerson, Lake and Palmer, here's the debut album. Again, I got all these albums for like $1, $2, $3. I'm sure they're still under because they are not known for, I guess, their success, or just they're not considered interesting, I guess, in the prog circle. But of course, you're losing out because Keith Emerson really is amazing. And so some of this is just sort of like King Crimson's first album, where Vinyl Richie said this, and I totally agree. There's like 3 good songs. You're really fooling yourself thinking that's their greatest album. It isn't. There's like 3 good songs and then just a whole bunch of noodling and folky nonsense. And true of this. But everyone knows Lucky Man. And honestly, everybody knows that synthesizer solo, you know, bree, 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 which Homer Simpson did beautifully on The Simpsons. And also, just like normal prog stuff with the trippy covers, you got ears here and a whole bunch of crap hidden in the artwork. This is where really Emerson, Lake, and Palmer take off. And I've done something for this video that I've never done for a VC video, and that's done homework. I promise you, I never prepare these videos. I just kind of think, oh, I'm probably going to be talking about maybe this kind of stuff, and that's it. That's as far as it goes. I don't really look up stuff at all, and I certainly don't listen to albums in preparation, which is why I probably only get 100 to 200 views on these things. I said if I'm going to make an Emerson, Lake and Palmer video, especially because I have a small collection, I'm going to make sure I at least listen to this Tarkus. And I've never listened to it because, I mean, look at it. This is, if you want to go, hey, what's wrong with prog rock? Here it is. It's an armadillo tank. And what's the main piece Tarkus about? It's about an armadillo tank. It's not, it is what it is here. The song's really about futility of war, but I mean, it's all these battles in between, and it's a bunch of hooey and nonsense, I'll be honest with you. So this stuff is on Cotillion, just an offshoot of Atlantic record. Velvet Underground Loaded. That album was on Cotillion. So that should impress you, I guess. I don't know. So both these albums are engineered by Eddie Offord, who eventually would go on to Yes and become their producer, I believe, right? Producer? Yeah. Tarkus, the whole thing is like a classical freak-out piece, and really shows what Keith Emerson, brings to the band. But it has some Pink Floyd, David Gilmour like soloing on that by Greg Lake. Greg Lake is a excellent bassist, very interesting guitarist. He's okay. He gets the job done, and And then the side 2 is a bunch of other stuff by Greg Lake. I mean, is basically sort of what it is. The album. Side 1, great. Side 2, you're never going to listen to it after. I'll be honest with you. This is my favorite Emerson, Lake and Palmer album. And this is Pictures at an Exhibition. This introduced me to the piece of Pictures at an Exhibition. This is a classical piece by Modest Mussorgsky, and it is a reimagining of what was a solo piano piece, I believe, into this crazy, bombastic, It's not an orchestra because it's only 3 dudes, and this is a live album, and it's easy to forget that. There's only 3 dudes playing all of this music on here, and it's complicated, and Carl Palmer really just an amazing drummer, because he doesn't play beat, he plays the drums. He plays them like a jazz musician. I mean, he's just as much a lead as the other 2. So the classical pieces, you got a theme, and then as you go into the art museum, you look at different pieces, and then the music represents those pictures, right? So same thing, of course, happens here because it's the same music, right? But then Greg Lake also, there's lyrics. Lyrics are never the strong suit on an Emerson, Lake and Palmer album. I remember talking to a metal theologian. He said, I don't really pay attention to lyrics. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And that's a contrast to me, where the lyrics are more important maybe than the music on some of this stuff. Like Bob Dylan, right? It's not the music. It's everything, but it's the lyrics. That's what that's what you're listening for. And of course, with this, it's just take them or leave them. Because it's on Atlantic, I'm going to assume this is not a early press, because it probably should be on Cotillion, but I don't know that. To be fair, here's a Trilogy. Trilogy, yeah, it's on Cotillion, so my guess is that's in a later press. A Trilogy with a great inner sleeve by Hypnosis, where they kind of show up multiple times here. Really cool. This is a very good, solid Emerson, Lake and Palmer and Prague album. It's got everything that you kind of want. It's got the Greg Lake folkiness and sweet singing, sort of like a Moonchild would be like on In the Court of the Crimson King. And then it's got the Keith Emerson classical freakouts. And they do Aaron Copland's Hoedown in here. And yeah, it's good. The whole thing is good. So what does Keith Emerson play? He plays the organ, the Steinway piano, the Zaruka, the Moog synthesizer, 3C, Mini Moog, it's Moog, I can't help it. Yeah, and Greg Lake plays bass and guitars, and Carl Palmer. Percussion, yeah, sure. Again, $2, $3, I'm sure you can get it for $5. Nobody wants this stuff. Nobody wants this Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And so far, these two, I would say, definitely grab. The other two, you can. And this is the album that, of course, is everyone's got probably in the vinyl community. And that's Brain Salad Surgery. The topic refers to a certain sex act, which is sort of pictured in the throat here of Geiger's wife, girlfriend, muse, I'm not sure which. But you wanted the alien artwork, here it is. And this has got one of their songs that they sang as school children, and it's done in this crazy, bombastic, bombastic is definitely the word for Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And then a nice ballad, You Turn Me On, and then, like I said in my pothole video, they have a pothole song on this thing, which is Benny the Bouncer. It's funny, I don't know. It's about a guy bouncer getting in a fight with another guy, and a knife comes out. And then the piece that everyone knows, Carnival 9, right? So they're being clever. It's the song you certainly know. It's the other song you know if you don't know Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Welcome back, my friend, to the show that never ends. And the lyrics are written by Peter Sinfield, who was the lyricist for King Crimson. Broken up over a few pieces, movements. So just like classical, it's got movements. And it's got something to do with a robot. And I don't know. I don't know. Give a crap what it's about. The music's great. And this is, of course, the one that I think most people would pull out. And while it's not my favorite, it is the one that I tend to listen to the most, because getting into pictures at an exhibition can be a little tiresome because of the theme constantly repeating. This at least has got some variety. And then you've got this great live album. This is a triple album. Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. Much like Yes Songs, which is also a tremendous triple live album. Great performances. It's got everything that you want. It would count as an amazing best of. They're both great live bands, Yes and Emerson, Lake and Palmer. But the problem is, it sounds like it's recorded in the big echoey concert hall, because it is. So instead of going for a nice live feed, you've got kind of a full feed, so the clarity is not perfect, and that's annoying. Otherwise, you just need to buy this album. You never need to buy anything else by them, because this is a greatest hits, if that's what it was. You got this really annoying die cut, which I'm sure was cute until you actually have to use it. Same thing with the Yes Songs album, where you're like, oh, that die cut is great, until you actually have to open up and pull records out. I think the previous owner pasted pictures from magazine in here. So that's cool. That's my version. On the Manticore label, which is the animal that wins battling Tarkus and becomes Emerson, Lake and Palmer's boutique label. Like I said, great live album. pretty much get you everything. Then Emerson, Lake and Palmer made a couple of other hubs. They made one called Works. It's like scraps and uneven. It's more of the same, and at this point, you know, I think you got enough ELP, or at least I certainly have enough ELP. And then Palmer left, and they got Powell. So Emerson, Lake and Powell, they did an album called Love Beach, which has got to be one of the worst covers of rock, and some other album. And it's just, from that point on, you know, it's over. I mean, it's over. That's the thing. So, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. That's my collection. Those are my thoughts. But again, like, people in the prog and VC community, show some respect. There's only 3 dudes, and one of them playing the bass. I mean, you know, he's singing and playing the bass. So you're really being held up by 2 dudes who are amazing. That's impressive. You know, having 10 people playing maracas and stuff in a triangle in your other prog bands, I mean, 2.5 dudes here. Right. Excited for him, everybody. Take care.